So I'm working on this video, and as I listen to it over and over and over again as I'm editing, I realize I need to put a trigger warning at the beginning of this thing. I'm going to hit on a lot of topics that are a big deal, and they are conversations that need to be had and they need to be talked about. And the reason I'm bringing them up in my videos is I'm thinking on the spot. I'm making these videos and I'm just thinking and I'm saying whatever I think. I have not prepared any scripts and it is raw, and I want you to hear and see the feelings and emotions that are going through my head as I'm doing this. But I also want you to know that these are going to represent my journey. I am thinking y'all are wondering, why would anybody want to do this? Why would anybody want to foster other people's children? And why would they want to adopt them? Why would I continue to put myself through all of this? 21 foster care placements. It's a lot of grieving. It's a lot of saying goodbye, a lot of hellos, a lot of what the are you doings? Why? I have learned over the last 10 years that asking why is really stupid. Asking your children, why are you doing that? Asking yourself, why would you do that? It could be helpful. It does not help me. Asking my kids why they're doing something is never a good idea. What happened to you that made that behavior occur is the correct way for me to think about it. For me, you could ask the same thing. What happened to you that made you want to suffer? I don't suffer. That was a poor choice of words. There are occurrences that make me feel stressed, burnt out, overworked, in over my head, alone a lot. There aren't a lot of people out there who are willing to sacrifice time, their home, their physical body, their mental health, their life, their livelihood, their careers for children. So, I'm going to do some thinking today, even though I don't want to think. I don't want to think about the things I have to do. That's what I don't want to think about. I don't want to have to think about my to-do list. I don't want to have to do my to-do list. Why do I do this? You ask. You're going to ask. Well, initially, it might sound stupid, but I felt a calling. So I went to college and I got my early childhood elementary education degree so that I was licensed to teach. And I taught 7 years. I taught in urban, low-income schools. So different from how I grew up. I grew up rural, very rural. Small school. Everybody knew everybody. And now I was teaching and experiencing things I had no idea actually existed. Then I worked in a urban, affluent school, had lots of fun, did lots of projects, did not feel needed. And so I think that needing to feel needed thing probably has some historical issues of my own on that one, but my husband and I were struggling to get pregnant. We know we wanted kids. We knew we wanted kids. We'd always talked about having a big family. I have a ton of health issues that have led to our infertility struggles. And so I was just sitting in church. It was Ash Wednesday. And our priest was talking about using your talents to better the world. And I thought, what am I doing? What are my talents? How can I better the world? And I knew right there, I needed to be a mother. But I was going to help the world by being a mother. Sounds crazy. So the next day, I looked into becoming foster parent. I talked to my husband about it, of course, that evening, and we had discussed adoption, and we had looked into private adoption, and the cost of private adoption was insane, and teacher salary is not going to fund that. So we started our licensure and our training for foster care, and we were young. We were youngish. We had these big ideas of what we were getting into and these children we were going to be helping. And since I had kind of talked my husband into doing it, I let him set the parameters for the age and gender of the children we'd be willing to take. And he was a high school teacher at the time. And he decided that we should, since we didn't have any other kids, we should be open to taking teen boys. Because not only were we going to foster, we were going to take the most challenging children. Am I answering the question? Why? So that's how it came about. Why? I like to feel needed. Our first placement was a sibling group of 4. They called us the day before our licensure was completed. One of the 4 children was a teen boy, and they wanted to keep him and his siblings together. Good ideas and bad ideas. They're just all over the place. So we asked our typical questions, because when you get a placement call, you can ask questions about the children who you may or may not be taking into your home. We didn't know much. We asked ages, gender. So there was a 12-year-old boy, 10-year-old girl, 5-year-old boy, and a 2.5-year-old girl. We could have said we would only take like 1 or 2. But when you go through foster parent licensing, they really, really, really want you to take all of the kids so that they can all be together. And my husband and I both grew up with a somewhat large family. I have 3 siblings. He has 2 siblings. We know what it's like to have brothers and sisters, and we didn't want to have to take that away from them. So, of course, here we are. Got barely any information about these children. I remember them saying, we don't know much about them. This is the first time they've been put in out-of-home care. That's what they call it, out-of-home care. And as far as they knew, none of the children had any special needs that we needed to worry about. There may be a little bit of ADHD in the 10-year-old girl. Okay, why not? So we get our house ready. We've got all the beds situated. Now we're finding clothes. We need figure out what size does a 10-year-old girl typically wear? Well, that was a dumb question, and so we're figuring it out and getting ready for these kids to come. We're prepping freezer meals, and I'm making lasagnas and putting them in the freezer, and holy crap, there's no freaking way, no way I was going to be ready for these kids. We ended up getting 2 extra days to prep for them. Their situation at home got a little dicey, and when their biological mom found out that the children were going to be removed from her care, she got scared, and like any mom, tried to keep them. So she was hiding them with relatives, and so it took the state a couple of days to find them and then get them out to us. These 4 children, no bags, nothing. They come in, clothes are on, shoes are on, that's it. Not prepared for that. They come in and just go to work exploring the house. They're upstairs, they're in the kitchen, they're going through cabinets, and I'm just going, they've been here for 5 minutes and I'm overwhelmed already. I was not prepared to be taken over like that. My experience with children could not hold a candle. Could not hold a candle. So they come in and they start exploring. They have an adult with them, a placement worker, who has me sit down, and I have to go over all this information, and I have to sign all these papers, and I have to accept all of these folders with their information in them. And I'm going, well, who's going to watch these 4 kids that are just going through my house? So I'm trying to keep my eyes up, and I'm trying to help my husband give instruction, but it's the very first experience, and I'm going, holy shit, am I not prepared for this? So I sign all their paperwork, and the lady dropping them off is just like, okay, they're yours. And she leaves. And I go, how is this a thing? How is this a thing that these kids just are removed from their home, from everything they know, from everyone they know, put in a stranger's car, driven out of the community they know, dropped off with complete strangers, in an environment they have never, ever even been able to imagine. I can remember the 10-year-old girl saying, "You live on both floors?" Because we had a first floor and then we had a second story. And I said, yeah, that's where the bedrooms are. They're upstairs. And she was just amazed at how big the house was. It was a big house. And she just could not believe that she could go on both floors. I found out later that they lived in like a duplex situation. And so she was used to somebody living on the top floor and somebody living on the bottom floor, or in an apartment where you just live in one room with a couple other rooms in it. And I just thought, you're right. You're right. This is a big house. We bought this big house with the intention of putting all these kids in it. Well, we put a lot of kids in it. We filled it up. So our first group of kids, we had 4. It was a roller coaster ride.